Adjournment of Hartford Board of Education, I hereby call to order May 21st, 2024 regular meeting. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present and to our television viewers. The board, superintendent, and I are pleased that you have joined us to celebrate achievement, review information, and make policy decisions related to the effective operation of Hartford Public Schools. This is a regular meeting, and all items that will be discussed or voted on this evening have been posted as required by state law. As the Hartford Board of Education, we are here to set goals, listen to reports of the superintendent, approve budgets, contracts, and personnel appointments, and make policies for the district. We are not here to make management decisions or solve the problems of individuals. Management is the responsibility of the superintendent. The monthly meetings of the board are open to the public. They are the time when the board conducts its business of governing the school system in a public arena. The regular meetings are not meetings with the public, therefore comments from the audience will be confined to the time designated for the public to address the board. Decorum and courtesy are important elements in effective public meetings. Please silence your cell phones and communication devices and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that proceedings be accurately recorded, I may have to ask for order periodically should noise begin to interfere with our recording capabilities. I am pleased that you have taken this time to join us this evening. We are very proud of the school system, and thank you for your interest in Hartford Public Schools. Now this will be read in Spanish.
Primero, si alguien requiere traducción, por favor levante su mano y la intérprete le ayuda en este momento. Nosotros, la Junta de Educación, Buenas noches. El presidente de la Junta de Educación de Hartford ha llamado a orden esta reunión ordinaria de la Junta del 21 de mayo 2024. Damos una cálida bienvenida a todas las personas presentes y a nuestros televidentes. La Junta y la Superintendente se complacen que se han unido a nosotros para celebrar logros, revisar información y tomar decisiones relacionadas con el funcionamiento efectivo de las escuelas públicas de Hartford. Esta es una reunión ordinaria y todos los asuntos que serán discutidos o votados en esta tarde han sido notificados como le requiere la ley estatal. Como Junta de Educación de Hartford, estamos aquí para establecer metas, escuchar los informes de la superintendente, aprobar los presupuestos, contratos y nombramientos de personal y establecer normas para el distrito. No estamos aquí para tomar decisiones administrativas o resolver problemas individuales. La administración es la responsabilidad de la superintendente. Las reuniones mensuales de la Junta están abiertas al público. Son el momento en que la Junta lleva a cabo su tarea de gobernar el sistema escolar en un espacio público. Las reuniones regulares no son reuniones con el público. Por lo tanto, los comentarios de la audiencia se limitarán al tiempo designado para el público dirigirse a la Junta. El decoro y la cortesía son elementos importantes en reuniones públicas eficaces. Por favor, silencie sus teléfonos celulares o dispositivos de comunicación y absténganse de hablar mientras otros están hablando. Ya que es mandato legal de que los procedimientos sean grabados con precisión, es posible que tengamos que pedir orden periódicamente si el ruido interfiere con nuestras capacidades de grabación. Nos complace que se haya tomado el tiempo esta tarde para unirse a nosotros. Estamos muy orgullosos de este sistema escolar y les damos gracias por su interés en las escuelas públicas de Hartford.
Thank you. We'll now move on to public comment. Ms. Ledger.
We, as a board, in collaboration with the superintendent and district leadership, are committed to cultivating a culture of excellence at all levels of HPS. We thank you for taking the time to attend tonight's board meeting. We appreciate you coming out to learn more about Hartford Public Schools and for sharing your thoughts and concerns. We have established a protocol to track and respond to concerns raised. We want you to know that we take your concerns seriously, and to that end, staff will follow up within 48 hours, if follow-up is required, via the preferred method of contact the speaker has indicated on the sign-in sheet. We will follow this no-contact method of follow-up for the time being, adhering to safety protocols. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to speak. At the 2-minute mark, the bell will ring. letting you know that you have 1 minute left. At the second bell, please wrap up your comments. Now, this will be read in Spanish.
A point of clarification from the chair here. I do apologize, Ms. Ledger, this is my fault. We do have special recognitions from the superintendent that I would like to address. There are kids here. I want to make sure that they get out in time. I know there's quite a bit of public comments tonight, so we'll come back to that again. I do apologize, but Superintendent, I'll turn it over to you. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Testing? Testing, yes. So as superintendent, I do have the privilege of working am I on? Yeah. Alongside outstanding staff members that are dedicated to making sure that our students have access and opportunity. We will be honoring our teachers on Saturday. However, tonight we want to make sure that we highlight the hard work that teachers, our staff, our support staff, our athletic teams make on behalf of our students. And so we want to celebrate and recognize over 30 students who have excelled on the academic field, in the classroom, as trilingual students and citizens, and as our young student leaders. So I am proud of these young people for what they've done to enrich our school communities, and I appreciate once again our educators and staff who have mentored them and helped them develop their talents and their ability to share their voice. And I'm deeply grateful for our families, some of which are here with us tonight, for sharing their children with us and trusting us to get the very best out of them. So we're gonna go through several recognitions. We'll start with the Connecticut Association of Boards of Education. They developed a criteria to recognize and define leadership and ask school leaders to submit names of students who met them. So in the 27th year of these CABE Student Leadership Awards, I am so proud to announce that Murthita Salu from Great Path Academy and Arzuma Shukra from Classical Magnet School, they have been recognized by their school leaders and by CABE as recipients of this great honor. So I want to say congratulations. If you can join us on stage for a photo, and board members, if you don't mind, coming to the front just so that we can take a picture. And if you don't mind, board members standing for the next announcement. So last Thursday, students and families attended our 6th annual Seal of Biliteracy Award ceremony. The Seal of Biliteracy, we started that 6 years ago to recognize 100 students as bilingual, and I am proud to announce once again that this year we celebrated 207 bilingual students who earned the seal in 16 different languages. Albanian, Arabic, Bosnian, Dari, French, Haitian Creole, Hindi, Karen, Kinyarwanda, Latin, Patois, Polish, Portuguese, Spanish, Swahili, and Twi. Surpassing last year's number, we were at 171 with 13 languages. So again, we continue to expand and celebrate the greatness that our students show up with every single day. And that also speaks to the exceptionalism of our young people and their families, our world language and bilingual teachers, our district coaches like Ms. Perez and Joanna Robles, and leadership of Acting Assistant Superintendent Daisy Torres-Hill. Again, this year we announced the 207 bilingual students. And there are 7 trilingual seal earners. So when I call your name, please come to the stage so we can celebrate you. From Weaver High School, Nora Belizaire, earning a seal in French and Haitian Creole.
All right.
From Pathways, Phyllis Claus, earning a seal in French and Haitian Creole. From Buckley High School, earning the seal in Portuguese and Spanish, Emily Diaz Cesario, Edinara Espinosa Martins, and Cirly Sousa. Also from Buckley High School, Ali Garambi, earning the seal in Dari and Thai. Also from Buckley High School, Yusuf Mita, earning the seal in French and Swahili. And finally, from Sports and Medical Sciences Academy, Julia Kratska, earning the seal in Polish and Spanish. Congratulations.
I wish I could say it in another language. Congratulations. You did that. Come on, let's get it tight, y'all. Keep smiling, keep smiling. All right. Okay.
One more, yes. So our next group of students we're recognizing are our CIAC All-Star athletes. Students who excelled on the athletic field and have excelled in the classroom. So before we call out these students, athletes to the stage, I do want to recognize our outstanding coaches who push these athletes and help them develop their athletic skill. I want to celebrate the teachers as well who work with them in the classroom. I want to thank our families and our caregivers who spent their time getting our young people to and from practices and games. I know what that's like, and it's not, I'm telling you, we thank you. And I also want to recognize Heidi Schmidt, our athletic director, and Josh Svoboda, who have tirelessly built, I shared a vision, and they have over the years made sure to deliver on expanding the offerings, not only across our high schools, but across all our middle schools. So back in 2020, we had no middle school sports.
That's right.
And now we have 100 middle school teams across 3 seasons. And despite challenges with COVID, we have 139 varsity teams across our high schools. Thank you, Heidi, and your entire team. So our students, please come on stage to be recognized from Buckley High School, the valedictorian and Fox scholar who played volleyball for 4 years and 2 years of softball, who plans to attend Rhode Island College, Zion Gaynor. Come on over. From Buckley, captain of the football, volleyball, and basketball teams, and a track thrower for a year. He will be attending Westfield State, where he will continue to play football. Nathan Pierre. From Capital Prep, the captain of the basketball team, who will be attending UConn next year, Sienna Cook. Got a Husky in the house. From Hartford Magnet Trinity College Academy and member of the National Honor Society, 3-year member of indoor and outdoor track teams, who will also be a Husky to study animal science, Davier Torres. From Sports and Medical Science Academy, a multi-sport athlete participating on the football, basketball, indoor, outdoor track teams, who also helped organize Media Day photo shoots for all SMSA student athletes. He will be attending Anna Maria College, Garen Wallen. Whalen. From University High, standout on the football team, who will be attending Princeton in the fall, where he will continue to play football, Ifa Alubarori. Are you here, Ifa? There it is, yeah. From Weaver High School, captain of the volleyball, basketball, and softball teams, who will be attending UConn in the fall, Ariana Whitley.
All right.
Kinsella Magnus student, who's captain of the volleyball and softball teams for Weaver. She'll be attending CCSU in the fall, Daisy Garriga. We also want to recognize some scholar athletes who could not be here today. I'm just going to call out their names. From Classical, Summer Tullier and James Lee Otomi. From Hartford Public, Demi Canales and Amir Cousin. From HMTCA, Brianna Wilson. From SMSA, Adira Guster. And from University High, Iyanolua Umoja. And finally, I am proud to announce that we are home. Oh, let's do this photo, and then I have, yes, some more, All-State.
We're gonna look over here first.
Okay, so now we are home to 7 athletes who contributed to successful team seasons and have earned the recognition of all-state selection by the CIAC in their respective sports. All-state players have achieved athletic excellence, exhibited sportsmanship, and represent the very, very best of Hartford Public School athletics. So please join us when your name is called. From Capital Prep, the Class S long jump champion, Makai Wade. From Sports Medical Sciences Academy, 2 members of the outstanding basketball, the boys basketball team, Aston Whittingham and Abijah Miller. Ann from Weaver, a member of the basketball team that went deep into the state tournament, Madden Coop. And some all-star athletes that from classical who couldn't join us, but I will share their names. Vanessa Eyemang, Avant Williams, and Sequoia Tokro Biggs. Congratulations.
Again, congratulations to all our student athletes, to their parents, and to our coaches. We'll now resume back to public comments. Board Member Ledger.
There's a noise. Oh, okay. We, as a board, in collaboration with the superintendent and district leadership, are committed to cultivating a culture of excellence at all levels of HPS. We thank you for taking the time to attend tonight's board meeting. We appreciate you coming out to learn more about Hartford Public Schools and for sharing your thoughts and concerns. We have established a protocol to track and respond to concerns raised. We want you to know that we take your concerns seriously, and to that end, staff will follow up within 48 hours if follow-up is required, via the preferred method of contact the speaker has indicated on the sign-in sheet. We will follow this no-contact method of follow-up for the time being, adhering to safety protocols. As a reminder, you have 3 minutes to speak. At the 2-minute mark, the bell will ring, letting you know that you have 1 minute left. At the second bell, please wrap up your comments. Now this will be read in Spanish.
Nosotros, la Junta de Educación, en colaboración con la Superintendente y personal del distrito, estamos comprometidos a cultivar una cultura de excelencia en todos los niveles de las escuelas públicas de Hartford. Les agradecemos se haya tomado el tiempo para asistir a la reunión de la Junta esta noche. Les agradecemos su participación y su deseo de aprender más sobre las escuelas públicas de Hartford y también por compartir sus pensamientos y preocupaciones. Nosotros tomamos sus preocupaciones muy seriamente y hemos establecido un protocolo para el seguimiento y respuesta a inquietudes planteadas. El personal hará un seguimiento dentro de las 48 horas, si fuera necesario, a través del método de contacto preferido que el orador haya indicado en la hoja de registro. Seguiremos este método de seguimiento sin contacto por el momento, adhiriéndonos a los protocolos de seguridad. Esa persona investigará su caso y se comunicará con usted dentro de las 48 horas. Les recordamos que tienen 3 minutos para hablar. Cuando han pasado 2 minutos, el timbre sonará, dejándole saber que le queda 1 minuto. Al segundo sonido, por favor, termine sus comentarios. Our first speaker is Samuel Saylor.
Good evening. My name is Samuel Saylor, and I'm a resident of the city of Hartford. I come to talk on 2 issues. One, a study course ahead as we support our leadership and move this ship forward so our kids can benefit. One of the things I noticed today that we were very happy about the kids, and we rewarded kids who mastered several languages. The benefit of understanding what love is in different languages and struggle is in different languages is very important. There's two languages going on here, and one subject that matters to me, and that is the honorary diploma program. Some discussion of whether or not we have one stage of honor, and we question whether or not we should honor those individuals deserving of honor on the same stage at the same time. If you've lived in Hartford as long as I have, then you know that we walk between multiple stories, struggles of trying to survive and keep our community ahead, moving forward, owning what we didn't do and owning what we did do. And we have a situation out, an opportunity here to represent the continuum of a love story in this city, that we love each other even though we struggle. Now, I can imagine giving an adult an award on the same stage as you give a child. That child understands that, because he too or she too walks through two different stories. One, some friends succeeding and some not succeeding. But to know that there's one system of continuing education and caring about our community, continues to have one stage and not a back room where we reward those who have presented perseverance in the midst of their struggle. The pedagogy of our struggle in this city is famous. We continue to try and stand against the odds. We're clearly aware that we're not getting the dollars we need to get from the richest state in the nation, but yet we struggle to try to present a quality education to our children. And my last minute, I remember having money in my pocket when I was a kid. I thought I was rich. I thought I was famous. It was burning a hole in my pocket. And I learned that I couldn't wait to spend that money, spend that power that was in my pocket. But I learned later on, it's not the money you get or the money you get to spend, it's the money you get to keep, the value you get to hold on to. If you have a superintendent that is working diligently for parents and can pick up the phone and return a parent's call, that's value worth keeping. You got somebody who knows our school system, grew up in our school systems, been here before, that's a value worth keeping. Before we go and try and change things because we've got a new administration, let us remember that we are part of a struggle that's a long standing beyond the current administration and any other administration that will come, but that we got to hold on to the value that we already have. Thank you.
Samir Kurtovic.
Hello, my name is Samir Kurtovic, and I'm a senior at Sports Medical Sciences Academy. For my capstone project as a senior, I'm advocating to make the Muslim holiday Eid al-Fitr as a day off for the Hartford Public Schools. As many of you may know, Eid holds an immense significance for all Muslim students within our community. It's one of the two major holidays of Islam that commemorates Ramadan, the holy month. For Muslims, Eid al-Fitr marks a time of celebration, kindness, and a time to get closer to God and our family. As of now, our district only gives us an excused absence for this Muslim holiday. But this is not enough. This year, our students were fortunate enough to have the holiday during spring break, but what happens when that's not the case? I've seen the impact that having Eid al-Fitr during a school day affects our students, where I have chosen between celebrating with my friends and family and missing important schoolwork. Another reason is an absence is still an absence. It affects our students' academic progress by denying them the opportunity to fully participate in their education. The absence also negatively impacts our students' attendance rate, which can affect many things, such as the Hartford Promise Scholarship, which requires a 93% attendance rate. This is unfair for our students. By granting the holiday off as a day off, our district can ensure that our students can observe their religious holiday without compromising their education and scholarships, which will maintain a commitment to academic excellence for our students. It can also promote equity and respect for all our diverse religions in our school district. It sends a powerful message of inclusivity and respect to our district. Many members of our Hartford community already support this, and many other school districts already have this day off. And our school district has many Muslim students, so I urge the Board of Education to also consider it and realize the profound impact that recognizing Eid al-Fitr can have on our Muslim body and our district overall. Thank you.
Ellen Mathis.
Good evening, everybody, and the ones that I know up there and the ones that I don't, right? I am here to talk on the behalf of the superintendent, which you all know as Superintendent Rodriguez. I know as Cutie, so if I make a mistake and call her Cutie, I'm still talking about the same person, right? So my thing is that I've been in the system, started with Sam Saylor, who just left, right? And so some 20-something, maybe 30 years, and I've had the opportunity to go through a lot of superintendents, just to let you know. This particular superintendent, you know, there's 3 points that I really want y'all to understand. One is, if something is not broke, don't try to fix it, because it's too many things that done happen in the system since I've been an advocate. I am a community advocate, strong community advocate, I should say. And I've watched the school system, you know, try to fix something that wasn't broke. And Lord behold, they made a mess of it. So just to let you know where I'm coming from, you know, so this particular superintendent, there's 3 points that I want to get across before the bell ring. One is that she's very, very, very into the community work. I'm involved into just about every organization you can dream of, and she's always there. Secondly, if you call her office, you may get a voice and you may not, but she makes sure she get back to you. And thirdly, she's a superintendent that you don't have to talk about. You can talk directly to her, and she listens. Thank you very much for listening.
Laiping Wong.
Hello, board members and superintendent. I'm here to talk on behalf of the superintendent. I'm Laiping Wong. I'm a parent of 2 sons, 7th grader at AF STEM, and I have a senior about to graduate at University High School, engineering. And a lot of the programs that are announced and things that she does, I have to tell you, my son is team captain of the University High School robotics team. And this past Sunday, they won the State of Connecticut 2024 NE First Robotics Competition in 1st place. And here's some of the other programs. And it's with the CICA State Championship, and they won 2nd place in the NE First District here in Hartford, Connecticut. So you can see all these programs that are run here are working really well. I'm an involved parent here in HPS. I'm on the FACES team, PTOs at both schools, North Ascend team, and I help parents connect with leadership training with United Way. I met the superintendent formally for the first time about 6 years ago with the president, Deb Zimmerman, who introduced us to have us connect with her when it comes to our children's and parents' needs. And since that day, with all the hats she wears, she has taken the time to get to know my family and my children by our first names, and a lot of families all over the schools, supporting individual school themes and activities and the growing need that middle school and high school students need to have changed since COVID happened, especially with the sports and everything. Gotten more support and program for middle schools for sports and after-school programs through Hartford Public Schools. Encourage theme schools to advance with all sorts of programs for all ages and not just K to 5, because everything used to be for only little kids. creating the FACES team, which means the parents get to let us have a voice with the board policy updates and speaking with parents and kids about what they would like to see at their school, including now involving the middle school and high school kids, and they're very appreciative of that. It was nice to have a voice to say how the bullying policy was outdated for 13 years, and now it's been updated, and the training has gone to update the staff and teachers. That was really important to them. Provide help with AF Camp, join forces with United Way to provide special training programs, anyone who wishes to attend. She's brought a new math program that parents get to have a voice on. She's brought a new ELA program this fall, and the reading literacy for all of K to 12 students. Done. Sorry, notes are only here. Sorry, I'm nervous. She's working with Hartford Public Library and programs to assist the teachers. And I have to tell you, she's always meeting with all the parents and getting to know the kids individually at many schools. She talks one-on-one. I can walk up to her and she will let me, ask any questions, especially when school started and nobody had their bus schedules. I had parents call me and she wrote it down. And within 3 days, we had information that's saying bus schedules were coming out. I hope the board will vote yes to keep the superintendent so we can continue the momentum and the education practices moving forward for the parents and the children. Thank you.
Dr. Celeste Johnson.
Good evening, esteemed members of the Board of Education and to our community members. My name is Celeste Johnson, and I am a member of Urban Hope Refuge Church in Hartford, of course, and I serve as the administrator and the community engagement coordinator. I am here this evening to reflect on the accomplishments and contributions of our outgoing Board of Education members. It is with great gratitude and pride that we extend our heartfelt congratulations to each of you. And I especially to Pastor A.J. Johnson, who has served as the board's vice chair. These dedicated individuals have tirelessly served our community, advocating for the best interest of our students, educators, and families. Their unwavering commitment to excellence, innovation, and inclusivity has left an indelible mark on our educational landscape. Through their leadership, vision, and collaborative spirit, our children have been able to learn in environments where every student has the opportunity to thrive and succeed. Their passion for education, coupled with their deep-rooted belief in the transformative power of learning, has inspired us all, yes, even with a tremendous shortfall of funding. So as they transition to new chapters in their lives, particularly to our pastor, we express our deepest gratitude for their service and wish them continued success in all their future endeavors. May their legacy of dedication, integrity, and compassion continue to inspire you as you embark on your journey ahead. I may be out of order, but I'm asking if everyone would please join me in offering a round of applause to our outgoing Board of Education members for their outstanding service and commitment to excellence. Thank you.
Levy Cardulis.
Hello, Superintendent, Board of Education, community members. In the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. It's one of my favorite quotes from Dr. King. When I became the union president, the first black union president to represent the custodians and the tradesmen, I always put that on the union posting, because my whole philosophy was always, if it's right, we're gonna fight for what's right? So I couldn't imagine being a senior in high school, April 4th, 1968, when Dr. King was assassinated. That must have been such a horrible day, especially for students that were so committed to social justice. I've fought for social justice all of my adult life. I was hired at Hartford Public Schools when I was 21 years old, and I worked for the most racist department, which is Buildings and Grounds. It was the good old boy network, and the only thing I could do to break that system was run and become the union president, and I won that. Some of my earliest memories in Dutch Point and Twin Acres, when I was a little boy, my sister, my older sister, rest her soul, she always had all these people like talking about social justice and empowerment, that was always around. And I was a little boy and I was just listening like, wow. It was like captivating to me, even as a young kid. Empowerment is what I understood. So when Hartford Schools hired me in 1990, I think I was 21, I saw how horrible it was at Sands. Custodians weren't doing their jobs. But I went to the security guard. I was like, Marshall, man, what else can I do for these kids? Because it's crazy. So I started coaching. First year, we won the championship. Second year, we want to defend this championship, right? But our uniforms are old. So I went to Sister Hinton, Susie Hinton. She was the principal at Sands at the time. And I was real fiery back then. I was about 23. I was real fiery. And she said to me that day, Levy, sometimes in this town, you got to step on people's toes to get anything done. She might as well have branded that on my heart that day. I was like, whoa, yeah. So today, I'm here to step on your toes, Leslie, and the Board of Education, because I'm here for Mikey Fothergill. I've literally known this man all my life, my earliest memories. Social justice to the max. He needs to get his high school diploma, not a GED, not a DODED. The man was in line to graduate on time, and Dr. King gets assassinated. So let's make this right. Let's see your strength, because we know the power comes from the chair, but let's see the strength. Thank you.
Helen Nixon.
Good evening. I'm Helen Nixon, and I'm president of the Northeast Neighborhood Revitalization Association, and I'm here in behalf of that association, as well as the entire community. I'm also here to show my appreciation, give my appreciation to Pastor A.J. Johnson. He was our vice president, and he was one of the best. I mean, this man, when you give him a job to do, he takes it and runs. And you don't have anything to worry about as long as AJ is in the seat. So AJ, we thank you for all that you have done for the neighborhood. You have been very instrumental in working with our neighborhood, especially since you've been on the Board of Ed. I have to commend you for all that you have done. I mean, your doors are always open. Your phone is always open. Whenever we need you, you're there. We don't have to worry about anything about the Board of Education. We don't go without any knowledge, because AJ was always there to help us out. And then he even started having Board of Education meetings at the church, Urban Hope, and that gave us an opportunity, because a lot of us were not able to come to the board wherever you are. But when you bring it to the community, That's where the rubber meets the road, because that's when all the people have a chance to know what's going on in the community with the Board of Education. So, AJ, we appreciate you for opening up your church doors, for letting us come in to attend these meetings. And again, I just want to thank you for all that you've done, and I really appreciate all the work that all the board members have done. But I'm especially thanking AJ, because he's like one of my children, okay? I feel like I'm one of his mentors, but to know that he's going to be leaving, that put a damper on everything, because I just hope that we in this neighborhood would continue get all the support that we would need, just like we're getting from AJ. And Sean, tell you, we're so glad to have you here too. We appreciate your services, okay? So I just have to just say thank you again, AJ, for all you've done. And when you leave, it's going to be an empty spot there. I don't think no one will be able to fill your shoes. They're too big. So let us all remember the struggle continues. And thank you again for listening.
Patricia Mack.
Good evening to the Board of Education members, educators, parents, and community members. I do not stand here before you today claiming to speak for all teachers. Hartford school system, rather I'm giving a voice to the many who live in fear in regards to retaliation for speaking out about a very real crisis. The crisis today I'm talking about is the violence in the Hartford Public Schools. Since April, we have teachers who have witnessed riots in school, students attacking principals, educators. There have been few teachers who have sustained concussions and serious injuries during their tenure as teachers. The incidents where there was an incident that a student brought a loaded gun to Achievement First Charter School and intended to shoot the dean of students, which should have been a wake-up call for us. Yet, surrounding the schools, the surrounding schools were not locked down during this time. This is a disgrace of communications, failure to countless lives at risk. It seems that it's clear to the message to the teachers and the students that sometimes the schools are just not safe. Teachers are under intense scrutiny for their teaching, their disciplinary policies, and every minute of the aspect of work. We ask them on a daily basis, how are your students doing? What are your test scores like? But you may say, what's going on? The union fights for the budget, they fight for the money, they fight for the insurance. But do you know no one fights for the teachers and their safety? I'm here to tell you right now, there are teachers, they are not police officers. Are we asking too much of our teachers? Now there are places in the states of the United States that are saying that teachers should carry guns. Let me tell you a little secret, people. I don't want my teacher carrying a gun. I want my teacher carrying a book. I want my teacher to teach me. That's what the children are asking for. But right now, teachers and students are feeling right now a little unsafe. Now, I do want to say that this board has done a great job, and we say thank you for all that you do. However, as you leave, remember your legacy and our legacy is to make sure that the community works together to help support the children. And at this point in time, I believe that teachers, students, and the community need to work together to make sure that our schools are safe for each other so learning can and will take place. Thank you and have a good evening.
Richard DeMage.
Good evening. My name is Richard DeMay. I'm a proud resident of Hartford, Connecticut, and an even prouder teacher at Hartford Public Schools. I'm here today without a script. I'm here with my heart, with courage, also with vision, but most of all, with a profound love for what I do on a daily basis with my students who oftentimes teach me more than I believe that I can possibly teach them. I'm also a polyglot, a speaker of 8 languages, and I currently am certified to teach Spanish and French in the Hartford Public Schools. Currently, I teach Spanish at an IB school. I'm here to talk about an issue that I've spoken about on several occasions. I've heard earlier from the, from your desk there, that we cultivate a culture of excellence. So I bring this to you. I currently teach 22 classes of Spanish. 22. That is roughly 470 or 480 students whom I see just once a week for 50 minutes. When I have to do report cards, I have to do roughly 470 report cards. I teach the entire school, K through 8. Now, tell me, on which planet or country is it possible for someone to learn Spanish or any language just once a week for 50 minutes? If that isn't malpractice, please tell me, how is that cultivating a culture of excellence? Furthermore, I teach K through 8, I mentioned earlier. Please note carefully that in our district, we do not have an elementary school world language curriculum. We do not have a middle school world language curriculum. The only world language curriculum we currently have is for Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 at the high school level, of which I am one of the co-authors several years ago. I requested that we come to a solution, that we take the time to write curriculum and do right by our children. They deserve a culture of excellence. Please hear and please act. Thank you.
Bridget Prince.
Trying to position myself here. Thank you, board. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I appreciate the opportunity. I want to address an issue that I don't believe has been addressed as of yet. Just a couple days ago, it's been front page news, top story news about the school construction fund and about the alleged corruption. And my whole position here is, what is going to happen with that situation and with the schools that are slated to be rebuilt and constructed? Because someone who is from Hartford, I actually went to school in East Hartford, but I'm from Hartford, know a lot of kids who are in the neighborhood, specifically the Northeast neighborhood, and a lot of the parents have to get up 5 o'clock in the morning and send their children to another district, if not another town, to learn, because the schools have not been built and rebuilt as slated. So I know we're here and there's a situation about the board literally being wiped out. I am totally against that. And I'm hoping that in this meeting tonight, you're able to retain the superintendent. So if nothing else, she can finish the job of making sure these schools are built so kids don't have to get up and go to another city, another town, almost into another state to get the education that you are working hard to provide for them. So I'm really hoping that you do what's right. I'm disgruntled that this is happening. I feel like a lot of changes have been made because of favors owed, campaign promises, you understand what I'm saying, irresponsibility, and just plain ignorance. So I'm hoping that you do what's right for these kids here in Hartford because they deserve it. Thank you.
Damaris Bolorin.
Before I start. Good evening, muy buenas tardes. I'm here tonight, I am a resident of Hartford. My children went to school in Hartford, graduated from Hartford schools, and I've been involved in the community for more than 35 years, working with parents. I am completely devastated and appalled in seeing what has been going on. I'm completely against it. Even though I, at the beginning, didn't see eye to eye with a superintendent, I'm very frank, I'm very open. But as time went by, I learned to see how she grew. Not only did she grow, but she also did something very important. And that's how she gained my respect. She embraced and she accepted the parents and children of the city of Hartford. And that, for me, was the max. And that's when I said, this woman needs to be respected. At the beginning, I came cutting through. Yes, I was upset. There were things that I wasn't giving her the opportunity. I didn't know her. But as time went on and I started seeing her progress, I was like, wow, yes, she deserved all, She deserves to stay along with all of y'all. Y'all have done a wonderful job. I've seen the many changes that have occurred. And like I had said to her, Leslie, te dije al principio, o te peinas o te haces rolo. Tonight I say, me da lo mismo si te peinas o te haces rolo. For me, it's fine. You have gained my respect, and you have proven to be someone who really cares about this community and about the children and about the parents. And that, for me, is something great. And I would like to say that, this new mayor that came aboard, making all these kind of changes without involving the community, without involving parents, like he's a hero. He owns the community. It doesn't belong to him. It belongs to us. And to the mayor, I'd like to say, there's one saying that we used to say when we were very young, and I kind of triggered it. And I like to say to you, don't mess with the best, because the best don't mess. We don't mess with anyone. We're just here to keep the peace. But if you do mess with the best, you definitely are going to drop like the rest. It has to stop. It has to stop. We are prepared. For whatever goes down, we are prepared. You have our back. All of you have our back. And we cannot allow this to continue. We cannot allow these people to come into positions and do whatever they want. We have to, as a community, come together, and we have to let them know that they need to respect us. And we got to let them know what we want. It's not the way they want. It's what's best for us and what's best for our children. Once again, thank you all. I wish you all the best. Dr. Leslie, I wish you the best. And I just want to say, we're with you. Thank you.
Michael Downs.
Evening, board members. Superintendent Michael Downs, President of the Hartford Federation of Substitute Teachers, and also I live at 74 Rosemont Street in Hartford. A few months ago, I brought before you the obituary of Mary J. Barlow, PFC, who was killed in Normandy in 1944. She was a graduate of Weaver in 1940. She was the sister of the late state senator and judge, Honorable Most Barlow, who also was in the military at that time. He was in the South Pacific. There is a function. We wanted to honor her. And one of my substitute teachers, Sandra Riggins, worked hard for the past 2 years to do something, or have Weaver do something to honor her. And then she will be honored on the 31st of May. The contact people here at Weaver concerning that, this will be a function at Weaver from 5:30 to 8:30, are Tony Kane and Joshua Hall. Tony's a teacher, Joshua's a vice principal. And this is a lot of hard work went into this. Also, it would be a class act to award a degree to Mike Fothergill. He really deserves it, and I don't mean just an honorary degree, an honor, his regular high school diploma. He earned it. And finally, I admire and respect all of the members of the Board of Education, admire and respect the superintendent of schools. But at this time, it is inappropriate to renew her contract. It was not my choice 25 years ago to eliminate the Board of Education. The elected Board of Education was eliminated. Then the Board of Education came back, and we fought hard to get some members elected. We couldn't get all members elected. We wanted all of the members elected, or at least a majority of the members elected. But it is everyone here has worked hard. The superintendents worked hard. The board members work hard at their committee meetings, and it takes a lot of time. But it was not my choice 25 years ago, or 20 years ago when they formed a new charter. I was against it. I'm against it today. But I didn't choose it, and we have to go with what it is. So it's inappropriate tonight to vote on the extension of her contract. And it's the job of the elected members, 3 of them whom are here, and the new members who are coming in. Thank you.
Millie Arciniegas.
Good evening, everyone. Honorable Chairman and the board, Dr. Leslie Torres Rodriguez, I thank you for all of your hard work for over the years. When I think back at our work, the families that you see on my left, and many others, I have been in this work, doing this work, Millie Arciniegas, if I didn't say that at the beginning, for the past 28 years with parents. I have never seen, of all of the superintendents that we had, and believe me, there was many, this is the very first time that we see a superintendent that is homegrown, and that was the biggest thing that they used to say, we need someone homegrown that our teachers taught. We got her. Very first time that I see a superintendent that is doing the work with the community. And the community equals parents. And those parents have their children in Hartford Public Schools. Never seen it. This was the only time I've ever seen it. And those of you that are on this board that were in the past that was doing this work understands that. And I think that that's very important. The history is very important. So those are the people you need to listen to, because it's like history doesn't exist sometimes because we're doing the same thing over again that did not work. And all of this work that this board has put in for our children to succeed, if you choose tonight to table it or mabel it, I'm going to just make up a word, that is not courage. You need to show the community and our children that all of this work that we worked on together, because it was just not this board, it's not being thrown to the wayside. We need to show the community if her evaluations panned out, then move it forward. We've got a lot of work to do. I've never seen a superintendent take on reading. This is what teachers have been saying for years. We need a reading curriculum. We don't have one. She did not wait till the legislation passed. She started working on it. She started working on the right to read, and it's working. And I have never seen teachers so enthusiastically teach their kids in these classrooms with that curriculum on board. So please, tonight, be courageous and show us and the children of Hartford that all of the work that you have done is worth something. Thank you.
Precious Ross.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Precious Ross Ellis, and I'm here to speak on behalf of our superintendent. I want you all to take a look at this building. She was instrumental in getting Weaver High School renovated. I want you to look at Anna Fisher down the street. She was instrumental in getting it done. And I want you to go a little further down on Ridgefield Street and see the magnificent Weaver building that they call Martin Luther King School. And she got the job done. When everyone else says, take it down or do something else with it. And we, the community, goes to her and said, we want our community school. We want Martin Luther King School. We want Weaver. She stand up and she did it. She's a very good superintendent. I love her dearly. She don't see me much, but I'm always behind her. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in our school system. We can't put all the blame on her. Our school scores need to go up, yes. But we as parents need to do the right thing by our children and allow her the opportunity to take them to their highest level. Thank you.
Good evening. I am taking the rest of our time. If you don't mind, my name is Hortense Ross. I didn't realize that she had not put my name down for me because she had gone out I had sprained my legs, so I thought she was going to put my name down. In any case, I was hoping that the mayor would have been here this evening because I need him to understand that he's here to serve us and not we serve him. He is a servant, and as such, he needs to listen to us When we have something to say, he needs to hear it. And I noticed that he has not been showing up at a lot of the meetings that I've been going to, and he has been invited to. Now, I've heard someone said, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. Our superintendent is not broken. She's doing her job. She's serving the community and the schools at large. So I need to understand, and I think that we are all here to understand that we're going to do something to make sure that she finishes her work. There's a lot of work, as somebody pointed out, schools that are unfinished. She needs to finish the job. And I need to know that we're going to stand by her, the community and the board, and make sure she finishes her job. God bless you.
Carol Gale.
Good evening, members of the Board of Education, student members of the board, superintendent, and community. Before I get started on my formal comments, I want to congratulate all the students who were recognized tonight. And I would also like to say thank you to the 3 Board of Ed members who have served for a very long time on a volunteer basis. I know how much work it has taken you to do this, and also thank particularly Phil Rigor and A.J. Johnson for having had some very rich conversations with me over these years. So thank you for that. On behalf of the Hartford Federation of Teachers, of which I am the president, and many other unions that are standing with me this evening, representing approximately 2,500 employees in the school system, we would like to share a message that we did send to the board today. Dear members of the Board of Education, the undersigned unions stand opposed to the motion on tonight's agenda to extend the superintendent's contract until June 2026. This motion is premature, not in the best interest of the city, and appears to be based on personality rather than a process. The consideration of this motion is ill-timed. New Board of Education members are expected to be installed possibly next month. They begin a term of office that will continue for several years and will have ample opportunity to make their own determination on whether to extend the superintendent's contract, given that her contract already extends through the end of the next school year. To extend the superintendent's contract at this time of transition denies the new full board the ability to work with the superintendent under their own governance. Furthermore, taking this decision away from the new board puts the city, the Hartford Public Schools budget, and Hartford taxpayers at potential financial risk, in the sense that should the new board desire a change in leadership at the end of the next school year, this motion, if enacted, would force them to have to pay 2 salaries concurrently. And this has happened in the past very realistically. In fact, 5 superintendents were paid at the same time over a period of a few years, quite a while ago now, but it has happened, and it was not good for the city of Hartford, and we certainly do not want to be in that situation again. Finally, the motion to extend the superintendent's contract in the 11th hour of half the board's tenure gives the appearance of favoring personality over a process. Our members want to see that the board operate with fidelity to their processes, including the process of installing new appointments under a new mayor, following the city charter, as Mr. Downs indicated, allowing for a smooth transition from one board to another, and the ability of the new board to work with the superintendent from a clean slate. For these reasons, the undersigned parties urge the Board of Education to vote no on the motion to extend the superintendent's contract at this time. Thank you.
Shelley Davis.
Good evening to the board members, to the superintendent, to the community. First and foremost, I want to say this isn't personal. This is business. I appreciate all the stories. I know what the superintendent has done in the past, a lot of different things we have worked together on. But this is business. With all the cuts that we are having now, when we don't even know how we are going to start the school year. We have caregivers that are in my union that have layoff notices, and they work with the most fragile students we have. Without us knowing how we can get this done for such a time as this would not be appropriate. Not just for the things we just said, but if we want to talk about the students, this isn't a time to extend a contract, especially when the one that is in effect isn't even up yet. So this is not what's best for our students, and it definitely isn't what's best for the city of Hartford. We need to make sure that we can see past where we are. So I'd like to take it off the table where this is against the superintendent and all the things she's done. This is business. It's about the money, which we are short of. Thank you.
Tiffany Moyer Washington. Tiffany Moyer Washington. Christina Green.
Good evening. My name is Christina Green, and I am a Hartford teacher at MD Fox Elementary School, and I've been teaching in the Hartford school system for 33 years. And I wanted to thank the board for their hard work. One thing I admire about the current board is their ability to listen to the voices of the community and the voices of the teachers in the community. And especially want to commend Pastor A.J. Johnson for that ability, because it goes back even before he was on the board, when they wanted to tear down Martin Luther King School. And I was teaching at Martin Luther King School. And he came in and he listened to the teachers at Martin Luther King School. He listened to the parents at Martin Luther King School. And he rallied with them to keep that school open. And I will never forget that. But not only that, the lady, young lady to my right that mentioned the community meeting that he had, where, and the head of it was there too, and they listened to the community voices, the community concerns, because you have to hear the community voices and the teachers' voices in order to function. So I want to thank him and the other members of the Board of Ed for being a good listener, hearing the needs, the concerns, the voices of the community, and not only hearing, but acting on what they had to say.
John Walton, who, as the last speaker, is exercising his right to speak twice. No more than twice.
Good evening, Superintendent and distinguished board members. It is going to be very difficult to follow all of the great speakers tonight. First thing I want to say is congratulations to all of our students. They were well-deserved of their awards. There was a lot of adults talking tonight, so I'm going to focus on our student board members. And then I'll get back to the board members with their congratulations of how well they've done. But student board members, I want you to just hear me. We are accountable to you. We're accountable to this community. You hold the power. You can change votes by knowing how this operation works. What you've seen here tonight, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, is a lot of politics. And adults usually are not honest because we speak to each other instead of speaking to you. You are who we are accountable to. We're accountable to your parents. We're accountable to your peers. Now, what you have to do, and please humbly hear me, you have to organize the students around you to get involved in this process. This process is very boring because all we do is talk. We have to organize a committee amongst yourselves and send out a survey to your peers. What would you like to see added to this board process to get their attention so that you can get them involved in this process? Because remember, it's your parents who can vote to make the decisions that governs the school system and also this city. It's up to you. You have the power. We're accountable to you. Use it. Get your friends involved. Use the platforms of your Facebook communication, Instagram, to communicate and make this process very exciting. To the board members, and you have done a great job. And I've worked with many of you in high advocacy on many topics. And you deserve to be praised for the work you've done. And the superintendent has done a lot of advocacy as well. And we've come to a broader issue. Instead of fighting over the $1, as the chairman has said so much, we need to get $3, if you understand what that means. So we need to make the pool of resources and funding bigger, not rely on the same funding structure that we've had. But it's up to you and to get the youth and the parents involved so that you can make the advocacy of a board, of the superintendent louder. We're the adults, but you are the power. You have the ability to change all of these circumstances. If you focus on that and you get your peers around you and their parents involved in this process, we can then come to our board members who are just representatives of our community anyway. I work for you. I'm a community member. But see, there's a difference between me and you. You guys are heroes. I'm a coward. Because when I was your age, I wasn't interested in making my community better. I was only interested in making it worse. And there was a young person in my union who saw something in me and wanted me to be the leader of the union so that I could help make change. I never really cared about the community. I was selfish in the way I thought. I could do my own thing as long as I have enough money for a nice car and a nice house and take vacations and be interested in just me. That's what I was all about. But it was young people like you who pushed me forward to become more involved in this process. And it's an ugly process because it's all political. But how we get politics to go in the direction you want it to go is by you speaking up and getting your voices heard. And you organizing the youth to push us, the adults, to do what is needed. You can do it. You definitely can do it. This board, some of you will be replaced, and that's unfortunate because I think you have done a good job, and you are an inclusive bunch, and we have had disagreements and agreements. But we've worked together to get things done. I don't want you to go anywhere, so I still want many of you to work behind the scenes, even if you're not in the forefront, because remember, I'm a coward, but you guys are not. Because you stood to make this community better, and you still stand to make it better now. To the mayor's office, with the pension fund being tapped into to come up with, I believe, $4.9 million, I have some concerns. I haven't taken a negative approach to it yet, but I have some concerns, and those concerns are, for the members who have contributed to this fund or this fund affects, what will be the long-term effect of dipping into this fund? Also, my other concern is, how will the structure of paying this money back, if it's to be paid back, how will it be designed? How will it be structured? And will the money be paid back with interest? Because the people who are being affected by the fund being dipped into are the members of this community. So we need to know these answers, and we'd like to be at the table as a community, and I'd like for you young people to get on a podcast and get on your social medias and make sure that you highlight these things because they affect your future, they affect your parents, they affect your community. And we need your advocation. So we need for you to make our elected officials answer to you because they do answer to you. Trust me, when you move, they move because you can organize and swing local politics and votes. because you have the power. It's not like the national playing field where it takes millions of votes to change a situation. You start locally. And see, they are expecting you not to know this. They're expecting that you are ignorant and our families and our community is ignorant to the process so that they can make decisions saying it's on your behalf when it really isn't. Please stand up and be the hero instead of the coward that I was. Thank you all. And I hope that in your next ventures that you are blessed. Thank you.
And that concludes public comment.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3, reports. We now move on to the report of the chair, and please bear with me, this will be longer than usual. All appointed board members currently serving Hartford Board of Education want to express our sincere appreciation for former Mayor Luke Bronin for his faith and confidence in us and our ability to make a difference to the city of Hartford. Over the last several years, this board and all individual members have had an unwavering commitment to serving the students, staff, and the families of Hartford Public Schools. That commitment has remained despite the unforeseen and unprecedented impact of the pandemic, as well as the continued systematic challenges that faces the residents of the city, including crime, poverty, unequal health outcomes, and the lack of access to technology necessary to succeed in a highly digitalized world. We are particularly proud of several initiatives and policies that we are confident will progress the district on a path forward towards equity and higher standards of academic excellence. To name a few, navigation of COVID-19 pandemic, including the distribution of personal devices to all students, many of whom come from lower socioeconomic circumstances to ensure access to digital learning. Strategic use of the ESSER funding to promote academic recovery and student engagement through programs designed to improve student attendance and extended learning opportunities while remaining mindful of long-term funding challenges. Development of a robust student engagement program, including home visits to families with disengaged students to help understand the root causes of absenteeism, and determine the custom support systems to improve attendance and engagement. Successful implementation helped to form the basis for the LEAP program that has been championed by the state. Expansion of our school-based health clinics, and most of which some of our students' only form of health care. This included vaccine clinics in our school buildings to better protect our community. Commitment to our community schools that provide essential social services and a social safety net for Hartford children and residents' families. Most of these services were provided by the city directly and would not be the responsibility of the public school district. However, the board and district leadership answered the call for our children. Difficult conversations and resolutions on the expanded safety plan, including the strategic use of metal detectors to keep our students and staff safe, knowing that some of the violence is deriving from the city shows up in our schools. We balance this restorative practice and customized care for some of our vulnerable community members. Having the courage to make hard choices related to the most recent budget cycle to pass a balanced budget with a focus on student needs despite limited revenue. As it was also mentioned, we instituted the board community office hours. We also have the adoption of the gender and equity policy. We also made it a top priority to incorporate the student voice in our decision making and onboard 2 student leaders representatives to the board. We explored the possibility of creating a foundation focused on addressing financial stability for Hartford Public Schools outside of the general budget. And last but not least, in partnership with the union leadership, community partners, and Hartford Parent University, the development of a legislative task force that increased advocacy for equitable and sustainable funding models, including relief from the state on tuition obligations as part of the school choice system, to which served as a catalyst to have the city increase its general funding contribution to Hartford Public Schools, which has been flat funded for 10 years, to which many have called good trouble. As a reminder, you can find the superintendent's report, full committee reports, as well as all attachments and videos in the meeting of agenda of board docs. All committee and workshop meetings are live streamed and are viewable after the meeting. The YouTube links are saved in each meeting agenda on board docs, and I encourage the community to view the meetings and read the reports when possible. If you have any questions or feedback, please contact Christine Santiago, our board liaison, at csantiago@hartfordschools.com. We now move on to the report of the superintendent.
Thank you. I have two updates. One is relative to our family literacy experiences. On April 29th, our families participated in our final Right to Read session. We had partners from Literacy How. They shared strategies that families can use daily to support their child at home with a focus on oral language development, phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary, fluency, comprehension. By the way, those are the components of the science of reading. Families also visited the Read to Grow bookmobile and left with a text to add to their home library. So this session was the culminating event of a three-part series with the Right to Read Connecticut Coalition, Hartford Public Schools, the State Department of Education, Literacy How, Hill for Literacy, Hartford Parent University. Additionally, school communities are continuing to host literacy and arts family nights across the district, which guide students and families through arts integrated literacy focused experience and teach our families what we call the juicy words strategy to support families in finding, exploring, and celebrating meaningful vocabulary word in text. And the reason why I'm referencing that is because we know that we have spent a lot of time engaging with our community around the early literacy curriculum, which we are going to transition into full use next year. But knowing that the backdrop of all of that is in response to the Right to Read legislation, which we were being overly proactive and we're ready to move forward with, but we're a little delayed given the state's approval of the waiver. And so as part of that, my other update is that our leaders, there's been a lot of excitement around our upcoming new K-5 literacy curriculum. All of our kindergarten through fifth grade leaders participated in a demonstration of Wit and Wisdom. That's our curriculum. First grade lesson, our leaders analyzed module assessments, used illustrations and details to describe character traits, wrote an opinion statement about the character, and determine the meaning of unknown words within a mentor text. So throughout the lesson, reading, writing, speaking, listening, language standards, all of those were integrated. And this experience helped shape our shared vision for daily instruction as we continue to set those standards of excellence for K through fifth in terms of their literacy experience. And additionally, around 300 teachers have signed up for paid professional learning opportunities this summer so that we can continue to offer them support and training on the curriculum, and we can be at an even stronger place as we open the year next year. So that is work that we're going to continue to expand, not only to support our educators, but to make sure that our families, our caregivers, and our community partners are well aware and informed of the science of reading. And lastly, I do want to say a few words to our outgoing board members. We know that earlier this month, the Mayor, Arulan Palam, announced the appointment of 5 new Hartford Board of Education members to replace the 3 standing members previously appointed by Mayor Bronin and the 2 mayor-appointed seats that are currently vacant. So I would like to pause and express my deepest gratitude to our Board of Education members, Philip Ruger, A.J. Johnson, and Dr. Jim Schmerling, for their years of service to our students, our families, our staff, our community. During their time on the board, they have made long-lasting contributions to the academic, social, and emotional well-being of our students. Chairman, in his words, expressed that it was this board that navigated through unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic, and I dare to say it's beyond navigating. We were leading the state. Everyone was looking at what is Hartford doing, how is Hartford thinking and planning about it, how is Hartford responding, and I dare to say that we were also having folks across the country look at how we were being thoughtful in our response to our student, families, and staff throughout that challenging time. And it is this board that continues to address systemic challenges that our young people face in our community. And Chairman spoke about some of those things that just show up at the classroom door, and we have to tend to it. So the commitment to improving conditions were evident not only throughout the times in these meetings, but outside of these meetings. And I just want to say that I appreciate the leadership, the commitment, and the advocacy, whether it is our work to standardize practices and curriculum across schools in service of our students, making great strides in our music programming, our athletic offerings that we saw play out today as we were acknowledging our students, developing and expanding the college and career pathways across our comprehensive high schools, the student success centers, which, by the way, were part of this board, initiating the first one at Hartford High. Without that, we wouldn't have the graduation rates that we currently have and that we are projected to continue to increase. So I just wanted to reference some of those examples. And specifically, Dr. Schmerling, thank you for your expertise and perspectives regarding financial and business operations to the district, and of course the partnership with Connecticut Children's in supporting not only the health, but the wellness, the mental health and well-being of our students. Pastor A.J. Johnson, thank you for your activism, your public testimony, your advocacy, the enthusiasm, whether it is through these meetings, out in the community, or during our calling all brothers to set the tone for the beginning of the year. Chairman Rigueur, thank you for stepping up to be a board, to take the role of the board chair during those especially challenging circumstances, for your passionate leadership, your legislative and funding advocacy efforts that have helped us mitigate some of the gaps, and also thanking former Mayor Luke Bronin for appointing you all to the board and for believing in the ability that you had, and to the rest of the board members for a collective shared governance on behalf of our young people. I just want to say thank you for making a difference, not only in Hartford Public Schools, but throughout our city. It's been a pleasure. That concludes my report, Chairman.
Thank you. We now move on to the report of the student representatives.
Hello, I'm Uzoma Chokora, student representative. And I'm Kiara Hill, also a student representative. And this report is actually a combination of last month's meeting and this month's meeting. So I'm going to start with a summary of our April meeting. At the April meeting, the Superintendent Student Advisory Council had the opportunity to speak with the mayor of Hartford. He gave us an overview of the 4 priorities that he has had for Hartford and actions that already look like making the violence prevention office. Members of the council had the chance to ask burning questions regarding the budget and how the city is helping with the budget cuts. We also got to hear about the different efforts that students within our district have been making to better their schools. An example of one of those efforts, which was a big plus of the meeting, was getting to learn about University of Hartford's School of Science and Engineering's Social Justice League and their success in their efforts of acquiring funding for bus passes for students who attend extracurricular activities. Another bonus of the meeting was students having the opportunity to voice their concerns to the mayor and getting advice from him on how us as students can advocate better for ourselves. And the third plus was members of the council made presentations showcasing their schools and what makes them unique. The only downside to the meeting was that we didn't manage our time well and not all the schools were able to present. For a summary of our latest meeting, which was last week, we took a trip to the Legislative Office building where we were given a brief tour, and we learned a lot about the history of Connecticut and the foundation of Connecticut's political system. And after the tour, the Department of Food and Child Nutrition Services came in to talk about lunch plans within the district. So they gave us surveys, as students surveys, and asked us questions like what's our favorite lunch, what's our least favorite lunch, how fulfilling is the lunch and the breakfast is. So that was very beneficial to us, and we felt like we were kind of being included in the decision of lunch, because I know that's a big concern for a lot of our students. And finally, we had a debate about the grading policy in Hartford Public Schools, which held many strong opinions. So a plus for this meeting is that we learned a lot about the foundation of our state, as well as how state level decisions are actually made. And we had a deep conversation about the budget of Hartford Public Schools with the state representative, Jeff Curry. And also, all seniors, a part of the Superintendent Student Advisory Council, will be receiving graduation cards. And one delta to the meeting, the grading policy debate, it kind of got a little bit heated. It was sort of like a civilized argument. And I guess we didn't get to see a full scope of all of the opinions in the room, because it was kind of just a couple people in the main argument. But we do have about three main sides to the policy. So the policy was, for the first 3 marking periods of the year, the lowest grade possible for a student to earn is a 50%. And for the final marking period, there is no minimum of 50%, and the student earns the grade that they earn. And the superintendent shared this with us, and to say that it was used to encourage students to turn their grades around if they didn't do too well in the first 3 marking periods, as well as to encourage students to keep their grades up in the final marking period, since that's usually the time where grades tend to dip. And there were very mixed opinions about the policy, but the 3 main sides were... The first side agreed with the policy, believing that it may be beneficial for students who have other things going on in their lives outside of school. They also believed that the grading system should be based more on effort rather than accuracy. The second side disagreed with the policy, believing that it was unfair for students who worked hard in the whole year if other students could breeze through the first 3 marking periods and work hard in the final one. And the third side appreciates the sentiment and idea of the policy, but found it ineffective because in the end, if a student gets a 50 for the first 3 marking periods, the student would have to get a near perfect grade in the 4th one to pass for the year. And then again, these are just the 3 main sides that we heard from. Because the debate got a little bit heated, we didn't get to hear from every voice in the room. So for our next meeting, we are going to, I think we should also just give like a little bit of an update and kind of come back to that discussion, because I feel like a lot of people didn't get to share their opinions on it. So for the next meeting, I'm gonna ask that we bring that back up and we can give an update in the next board meeting. And we had a discussion with the state representative, Jeff Curry. So he told us a little bit about his story. So Representative Curry's family, it consisted of politicians and public service positions, and he believes that education is the foundation of the nation. And he's the chairman of the Education Committee, and always keeps education in mind when discussing certain bills. And we kind of had an in-depth conversation with him about social workers, a topic brought up by one of our members, Kevra Nagas Takahashi. And he brought up how social workers are extremely important in the school environment and how they help students inside and outside of the classroom. With the $77 million deficit, it is a huge concern that social workers and other beneficial teaching positions are being cut, so a lot of students are really concerned about it, and it's a topic that gets brought up frequently in our meetings. But to conclude, the April meeting with the mayor was successful and gave us a lot of insight. The tour of the legislative office building was, again, very informational, and we got to learn a lot, and we got to talk with the representative, which was very beneficial to us as students. We had the Hartford Public School lunch presentation, which again made us feel included and gave the board a lot of insight to what we thought. We had a grading debate, which brought up more concerns for us to discuss at future meetings, and the discussion with State Representative Curry, as mentioned, was very insightful and beneficial. And that concludes our report.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, may I have a point of personal privilege?
Recognize Board Member Johnson.
Thank you so much. I know before we get into the business agenda, I just want to share some thoughts as this will be my last meeting, and so I wanted to take this point of personal privilege before we jumped into the business agenda to just share some thoughts of my experience being on this Board of Education. And I'm going to read the letter that I wrote. As I transition off the Hartford Board of Education, I want to express my sincere appreciation to former Mayor Luke Bronin for his faith and confidence in us and our ability to make a difference for the city of Hartford. My wife just left as she had a function to get to, but I want to thank my wife, Melinda Johnson, and my two sons, Ashton and Addison, who are students in Hartford Public Schools, for their support and understanding as I fulfilled this responsibility, even when it took away from them. Over the last several years, this board and all individual members have been unwavering in our commitment to serve the students, staff, and families of Hartford Public Schools, despite the challenges posed by the pandemic and systemic issues such as crime, poverty, unequal health outcomes, and access to technology. I am proud and profoundly grateful to have served the Hartford Board of Education alongside of some of the most dedicated people in our city has to offer. Precious, thank you so much for coming. Karen, thank you so much for coming and being here today. Millie, thank you so much for coming and being here today. Together, we have navigated challenges, promoted student recovery, ensured equitable access, and supported our staff with an eye toward long-term financial stability in this district. Phil, or Board Member Rigger, I thank you for your leadership. It is very rare you see a black man graduate from MIT, take this responsibility, and do a phenomenal job. I applaud you, and it's been an honor working with you. Superintendent, you are one of the best and brightest, and don't let anything that happens here tonight diminish your light and your commitment to the students of this district. Our first meeting that I had with you before you were superintendent, I don't know if you remember, I said to you, we need someone who was going to die on the hill of education in the city of Hartford and not see this as an opportunity for transition and upward mobility, but someone who is willing to stay here and die on the ship and make sure our students get done. Your commitment, Dr. Rodriguez, is noted. Christina, you are the glue to this board, and I'm honored to have worked with you and see the work that you have done to keep us together. I applaud you, and I recognize you. Student reps, it's been an honor. It's been a real honor working with you. From watching from you all take a vote and how you were timid to even want to take the position and how you got voted in and how Zari got voted in has been an experience to see. And I want to say this board did that. To my fellow board members, thank you for allowing me to share space with you. I had individual things to say about you all, but I will keep it till later when we exit this meeting. But to the members that are staying, Board Member Brody, Board Member Walker, Board Member Francois, y'all got the juice now. Yeah, I don't get that, but it's okay. As I conclude, this district is filled with wonderful people, including highly capable students, engaged families, and some of the best teachers in the state. I strongly encourage incoming board members to keep long-term sustainability and our children at the forefront of all decisions, not political agendas, because one day you too will be asked to not return. I leave you with these words by Theodore Roosevelt. It's not the critic who counts, not the one who points out how the strong man stumbled or how the doer of deeds might have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred with sweat and dust and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes short again and again, who knows great enthusiasm, great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who, if he wins, knows the triumph of high achievement, and who, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that this place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Thank you for this opportunity to serve. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Board Member Johnson. We now move on to the business agenda. Item 4.1, contract approval, autumn transportation. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with autumn transportation for a term outlined in the contract ending June 30th of 2027 with up to 2 one-year extensions at the amount not to exceed $32 million. Do I have a motion?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Superintendent?
Yes, this is a new contract for autumn transportation to provide school bus service for our resident students eligible for services based on the distance from home to school or specified in their IEP, their individualized education plan. There was an RFP process. Autumn Transportation was the only company to submit a response to the RFP. This contract is for 3 years with the option to extend for up to 2 one-year extensions. Autumn Transportation has the personnel, the buses, the technology needed to meet the requirements of the contract. New technologies include updated GPS system and automatic video downloads. And this contract also oversees the 25 electric school buses that were awarded by the Clean School Bus Grant Program that are to be used in Hartford. Those electric buses are expected to be in use on December 2025. I will pause there, and I know that we have Bill Mason from our team and Sal Murata here from Autumn and Deputy Foster in case there are any questions.
Thank you. Wanted to see if there's any questions from my colleagues. I do have one question or a comment. During the presentation, Board Member Johnson did make note of the, I think it's the 25 electric or clean buses. There were some comments on, I believe, the north end, right, and kind of the allocation of those 25 buses. And I think, at least my takeaway from that is that right, clearly, I think in the north end, we want more than the fair share of those 25 buses to be in some of those communities. I'm not sure, Bill, sorry, Mr. Mason, if you're able to talk to that.
Sure. So the buses will be as part of our tiers in the Hartford school system. So each bus will go to 3 different schools in the morning and 3 different schools in the afternoon. So it'll be spread out throughout the city. So the north end will be a big part of it, and so will the south end at the same time, since all the buses go to 3 different schools each time. So they go 6 times a day, and they'll be in all different parts of the city.
Thank you. Board Member Johnson.
Yes, and thank you for being here. And my only comment tonight is not necessarily around the portion of the contract, but it's more the procurement process and how Autumn Transportation continues to be the only vendor. And I'm saying this just for listening ears and the organizers in the room. In the city of Hartford, we have a problem with our procurement process where vendors don't feel comfortable working with the city, and we end up with one vendor as it pertains to developers as well. And so this is not a strike against Autumn Transportation. You all have the capacity to do the work, and we honor that, and you've made it through the process to be here tonight. Well respected. However, to the folks in the room, we always have to ask the question, why is it that only one vendor comes to the table? And I don't think it's anything that our district has done, because everyone in this room has followed the process to be here, respected. However, we need to ask the question where other vendors are and why aren't they coming to the table? Thank you.
Board Member Brody.
Good evening. Good evening. Keep talking, you'll put it up. I'll use them. Thank you. So my question is more so our internal process. I know I talked about it a little bit at the committee of the whole with adding some bus stops. I know my daughter, the bus actually rides by us and she would have to walk 5 blocks back. And one time she shared with me something she saw on her way home between 2 individuals. I won't describe what it was, but some of our children have to walk through some things to get home or get to the bus stop. And not to create other routes, but if it's somewhere along that route, because we do have issues, we all know, we see it on the news with crimes, we have shootings in the day light. And they don't care who the bullet hits. So if we could take that time to think about the route and how we could add stops so our students could be more safe and they don't have to have any unnecessary exposure if the bus is just going by an intersection. That's all.
Okay, seeing no further questions or comments from my colleagues, the motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with Order Transportation for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th, 2027, with up to 2 one-year extensions at the amount not to exceed $32 million. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion moves. Thank you.
Thank you, board members.
Item 4.2, contract continuation approval, Open Architects. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with Open Architects for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th of 2025 at the amount not to exceed $141,780. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Superintendent?
Yes, this contract is to maintain an online web portal, dashboards, data warehouse, and custom data entry tools that will allow us at the district and across our schools to easily view and analyze student assessment, finance, human resources, and other related data in one single portal. The contract is what's called a software as a service contract, and the price includes all necessary services to load and format data from our systems like Munis and PowerSchool, ensure the data is updated on a nightly basis, and build those custom dashboards requested by either departments or our schools or by our board, right? We know that we rolled out a draft dashboard, which is a precursor to a public-facing dashboard that will be made available next year via our website. I know that Deputy Foster is here, as well as Mr. Racine from Open Architects as well.
Thank you. Wanted to see if there's any comments or questions from my colleagues. Board Member Walker.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question is a little more forward-looking. Chief Foster, it's because this is a software service, I am wondering, as we look towards the future, if this contract would be eligible to be executed by the city. Recently with the budgetary issues, the city's been saying they've had more interest in taking over certain things that the district does that's of a service level. And so I don't know if that type of discussion has been had, but I would just ask your maybe opinion about it and maybe enter it as a potential action as we look forward to maybe next year, not this year so much.
Sure, thank you for the question. We haven't had a discussion with the city about that specifically. I guess what I would say is with a software as a service model, right? So we're the customer, and we tell the vendor this is what we're looking for in the dashboard, and we help load the data. I think ultimately it'll always be our responsibility to work with the vendor because we obviously know our data and the city doesn't. That being said, if the city wanted to cover the cost of the contract, I'm good with it.
Yeah, and I'm just saying it just for public consumption. It's because the city already is offering, has MHIS and has been talking about expanding kind of IT services they want to offer on behalf of the district.
Yeah, just one note on that. I just want to be very careful in being clear that, you know, obviously we're the experts in our data. And so I want to be really, really clear, like we have to manage this contract and this relationship. But again, if they want to pick up the cost.
The cost, strictly is what I'm saying, strictly the cost. Thank you, that would be my comment.
Are there any additional comments from my colleagues? Seeing none. Motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with Open Architects for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th of 2025 at the amount not to exceed $141,780. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? Abstentions? The ayes have it. The motion moves. Thank you. Item 4.3, contract approval, stay plugged in at HMTCA. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with Stay Plugged In for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th of 2025 at the amount not to exceed $100,000. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Superintendent?
Yes, this is at HMTCA through the use of the Magnet Athletic Grant Funds. They are investing in building an esports room at the school to bolster school offerings to ensure that our students have additional access to high-quality learning experiences and after-school athletic opportunities that wouldn't otherwise be available. Currently, HMTCA's athletic program is not wants to have an expansion and opportunities for students that are not part of traditional athletic teams. And so this would give those students opportunities to not only build relationships and stay connected to school, but also to have access to scholarships at the collegiate level. And so the partnership will help increase the number of resident students taking part in e-school opportunities, as well as have access to STEM courses such as graphic design, video production, game design, and broadcasting. Again, this is part of a Magnet school grant, and I know that here we have our principal, Mr. Quinn, and Adam Leonard, I believe, yes, athletic director at HMTCA as well, and our representative, our consultant as well.
Thank you. So I do not have a question, but I do have a comment. It's not necessarily relating to HMTCA. I would say just in general, as it relates to esports. So this has become extremely popular among our youth. I have noticed a trend in the sense that it is our magnet schools that are getting a fair share of these opportunities. I would say for the new incoming board, as we move forward, I would encourage that these same opportunities are given to our neighborhood schools. I know that there's some form of fashion to it, but again, when I take a look at some of these contracts and some of the positive results that have come from Stay Plugged In, I just want to make sure that our community schools have the same, if not more of an opportunity as it relates to esports. That was just my comment for public consumption. I wanted to see if there are any of my colleagues. Yep, Azuma, you have the mic, followed by Mr. Walker.
Yes, adding on to what you said, I also believe that that esports could be very beneficial. Us as students and teenagers and kids, we're always online nowadays, so we're always gaming, always on our phones or everything like that. So I think esports could kind of serve as an outlet to kind of be able to explore our interests that are already online in school, and also what was said with the scholarships and everything. I feel like that could be very beneficial to us. And it could also really help for kids who want to participate in sports but can't for whatever reason, because if they don't have a ride or if they have a physical disability. I think this could be a really great outlet for students, and I agree with it.
Thank you. Board Member Walker?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Gentlemen, and Principal Quinn,
Yes.
I think I appreciate, based on our earlier conversation, that you have a no cell phone within high school, so that mitigation seemed appropriate. I've shared to the board, and I think maybe to you through Christine, articles about risk of screen time and then video game play, and so obviously I have some misgivings. What I'd like to do is pledge in the upcoming year to really engage more and to see if we can come up with game plans and kind of mitigation strategies that would be robust and more uniform to make sure that we're getting the benefits without any of the downside risk. The other comment, and this is again a public consumption type comment, is that the benefits we talk about with the GPAs and attendance, that we really scrutinize the data, because I know we're now getting these continuation contracts, and next year I think I'm really going to be looking to see if we really have evidence that shows that the students are benefiting in the ways that are anticipated. And that's kind of my comments.
Board Member Johnson, followed by Board Member Ledger.
Yes, again, thank you all. And on the committee call, certainly heard this out. And I've, my tenure as a board, my tenure on this board, I never thought in a million years that I would have the opportunity to vote for students to engage in video games during school time. So, like, I am, like, the answer is yes, because I'm a part of that millennial group who grew up with computers in the classroom, right? However, we did, and this is not to this potential contract, so don't mix my words up with this. I am supporting this. However, to the board members that are remaining, I did request documentation of, across the district, of an idea of who are the students using this? Is it more males? Is it more females? Is it more blacks? Is it more what? Like, we need to understand who is this particular contract serving. And so this is across the district. This is not, I'm not picking on your contract, but we've done enough of these to have some data to understand who is, and my comment is to this board that's staying, to just continue to receive that data and to see who's using it, and then let's create a strategy to see who's not, because this is too big of an opportunity just for, as our chairperson said, just for like the magnet school population to be using, but it should be more diverse, more females, more, you know, more who is not represented in this space. Thank you.
Board Member Ledger.
Sorry, I'm freezing. So I wanted to say I'm so excited to hear about this opportunity for these young people who are going to be engaging in this. The question that I have is, are you going to be looking for opportunities for competition between different schools, or even, you know, different entities who will be doing the same type of gaming?
Yeah, you want to answer? Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So at HMTCA, we're going to treat this as a traditional athletic program. So they're going to practice after school, depending on which game they're playing in will constitute which practice time they have, which will help us control the screen time within the school setting. There are two different leagues, one through the CIAC, which is the Connecticut Interscholastic Sports, that provide it, and then there's a national league. So this past spring, where we had 7 individuals playing esports, they were playing schools from all across the country. Some in Connecticut in the playoffs through the CIAC League, and then some nationwide. So this is a traditional athletic program for our non-traditional athletes.
Follow-up question?
Yep, go ahead.
Another question I have is, approximately how many students will be engaged in this, will be able to benefit from this?
Yeah, so this time we had 7 because we have no physical structure, room, hardware, software to do it. So our kids actually had to travel home or travel somewhere to do it. When we went back and looked and did the research, we had 7 individuals, 4 suburban, 3 City of Hartford residents. The City of Hartford residents said if we have it here in the building, we can play and do what we need to do and not have to go to a library or someone that has the proper internet access. Speaking to our esports coach, he already has over 40 interested candidates for next year. So our incoming 8th graders moving up into high school, and then the current high schoolers. Once we get the high school team established, we're hoping next spring to open it up to the middle school level as well. So taking an educated guess, we're looking at around 50 to 100 between middle school and high school, playing various games on various days.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that number? Do you have an idea of the breakdown between Hartford and non-Hartford kids?
This fall was 4 suburban, 3
No, I'm
Hartford.
talking about the projected, you
The
said
projected,
4.
I do not. This was the esports coach who told me this morning, the 40 interested.
Gotcha, thank you.
We have approximately 60% of our students are Harvard residents, and the other 40 are suburban schools.
Thank you. Board Member Brody?
Is it, yep, I'm up and running now. So I've asked it of all the esports proposals, contracts that come before us about the Hartford students, but I am asking that Hartford students are actually targeted for the program to make sure that it's equitable. That's my ask of all the other schools, and that's my ask of HMTCA.
Noted.
All right. Board Member Ledger.
Okay, so I don't have much experience with gaming and esports, with the exception of watching my son do this at home and engage with his peers. I do know that with some of these gaming systems, as they start to slow down, students or children may want to, or gamers may want to build their own computers or build their own systems, which is kind of like where my son is at, and I see other children are at. Is there an opportunity for those students who are gaming to learn more about putting systems together as opposed to just having the systems that are available? Perhaps you can get systems, computer systems or parts donated or whatever, so that they can get that education piece, because it seems like they're moving in that direction as well as they become more serious with gaming.
One of the things we've done this year, despite the budget cuts and everything, we've been able to add a technology position into our school. And that's the intent, is to start teaching children more about technology, how to work with the technology and build for the future.
Board Member Walker.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. Board Member Ledger, I think she inspired a comment out of me. If you're moving to that kind of construction, I'm all for that. The engineer part of me says that's the space we ought to be in. I'm going to ask you also kind of add a new media component, because I have nephews and relatives who really are on the new media side and want to kind of get in on that software development piece of it. I think if we put together a package, it feels like the corporate community has been very receptive to helping to fund FIRST robotics and those kind of programs. I think if we can package this as an adjunct type of thing, there's maybe ways to get some corporate dollars to help underwrite that funding that may be in short supply to get this off the ground.
Yes, we've agree with you totally. That's why we already have a course in robotics. We have one person there that does robotics, does laser printing, and we're into that. That's why we've added another technology position to get into it a little deeper and to be able to do a little bit more.
Thank you. Seeing no further comments from my colleagues, the motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute a contract with Stay Plugged In for the term outlined in the contract ending June 30th of 2025 at the amount not to exceed $100,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays?
One nay.
We have one nay. Any abstentions? The ayes have it, the motion moves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 4.4, first reading, policy 5157, suicide prevention and intervention. Board Member Johnson.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. And as policy chair of the Board of Education, just want to say it's been a pleasure, again, having a phenomenal tenure here with some really, really great policy that we've had. And I'm going to invite, Ms. Ratley, I believe, is this your area? I want to invite her up. Who has it? She's on Zoom? Okay, fine. Great, great, great. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so here we go. Suicide prevention and intervention, 5157. The Hartford Board of Education recognizes that suicide is a complex issue and that schools are not mentally health treatment centers. School mental health personnel may recognize a potential suicidal youth and, in such cases, may make a preliminary determination of level risk. The board directs the school staff to refer students who come to their attention as being at risk of attempting suicide for professional assessment and treatment services outside of the school. The board recognizes the need for youth suicide prevention procedures and will establish programs to assist staff to identify risk factors, intervention procedures, and procedures of referral to outside services. Training will be provided for teachers and other school staff and students to provide awareness and assistance in this area. Any board employee who has knowledge of suicidal treatment, attempt, or ideation must immediately report this information to the building principal or his or her designee, who may activate the crisis team, a component of emergency response team. The crisis team, with administrative assistance, if necessary, will contact the student's family and appropriate resources outside within the school system. Information concerning student suicide attempt, threat, or risk will be shared with others to the degree necessary to protect the students and others. This is our legal reference is the Connecticut General Statutes, 10-22E, Public Act 23-167. And I believe that this is a policy that is being passed down from the federal government to boards of education across the country and in the state of Connecticut.
Thank you, Board Member Johnson. Looking to my colleagues to see if there's any discussions on this topic. Seeing none, as this is the first reading, no vote is required. Thank you. We now move on to item 4.5, resolution, approval of superintendent contract extension. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education approve the Superintendent Leslie Torres Rodriguez employment contract for additional one-year term through June 30th of 2026.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, can I move that we table this item?
We have a motion to table this item. It requires a second. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second to table this item. Okay. So the motion is that we table item 4.5. It has been second, which is resolution approval of superintendent contract extension. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Nays?
Nay.
Nay. Abstentions? The nays have it. Motion fails. Item 4.5, resolution approval of superintendent's contract extension. Motion that the Hartford Board of Education approve Superintendent Leslie Torres Rodriguez employment contract for additional one-year term through June 30th of 2026. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second? Second. For this particular item, given that it is a very popular topic, I will give each board member one opportunity to share their thoughts. So who wants to go first? Board Member Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And before I make my statement, I really want to just commend the communication. Nah, y'all can't shut me up. Y'all better chill, but y'all better calm down with all that now. Y'all better calm down. Listen, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I hope that everyone listening just hears me out of the sincerity of my heart and not a political process. And all that was said tonight, board members here, the communication of each and every individual, whether in favor or not in support, you were heard. For the last 48 hours, it is the most my phone has ever rung. Regarding this is the most I've ever received text messages. And so there is an engaged community out there that speaks when they want something done and quiet when there's nothing to be said. I want to just talk about the process of where we are as a board. This process, this vote tonight is owed to Dr. Leslie Torres, our superintendent. I've heard comments that this should be deferred to another board, to the next board. In any other circumstance, I 100% agree. In this particular circumstance, we evaluated the superintendent, and this board is responsible for completing that evaluation. This was supposed to be done last year. And because it was supposed to be done last year, we waited, and each board member can speak for themselves, but we waited for test scores, we were doing our due diligence, we were waiting for a mayoral election to come and understand what was going on and what was going to happen with that. We were looking at a few things. We did not come back to this vote until this moment. The superintendent has the right to ask and request deliberation on this particular agenda item. There's a couple things I want to continue to say because I think it needs to be said. This process has been flawed by many different areas. We know that this board is supposed to have 9 people. This board only has 6. And I think it's unfair to have this moment with an unhealthy board. The mayor's office knew, both administrations, so I'm not pointing fingers at one. I don't want anybody to walk out of here saying I'm pointing fingers at any one particular administration. This certainly falls under Mayor Bronin, and it certainly falls under the new administration. Knew that this board needed people on it. Secondly, the party that we represent certainly understood that people needed to be replaced. So I am at a displeasure at this moment with how this is playing out in my last days on this board. But I also want to put forth some recommendations that we all can work toward so we never get here again, okay? I would like the city of Hartford and each party, whether it be Working Families or Democrats, in the event of a board member stepping down, these positions need to be filled in 30 days. That's it, 30 days. Because if this was any other town, this would be unacceptable. Parents would be outside the door making sure that their voices were heard. Secondly, we have to look at staggered appointments. This moment of just taking 3 board members out of out of a 6-person board, you know, is I don't, you know, you all understand what I'm saying to you. Hopefully you understand what I'm saying to you. The mayoral appointments need to be staggered so it creates a healthy board and keeps the folks that have been doing the work. I wanted to say this because all this plays in to what we are experiencing tonight. And so with that being said, I want to yield this portion over to other board members, but we have to understand that the superintendent is owed this opportunity for this board to evaluate the work that she has done. We cannot defer that to another board who does not have the relationships, who did not set the agenda, who did not set the priority, who did not set the benchmarks to come in and evaluate this particular superintendent. And some would say that what I'm saying is political suicide, but I believe in God, and I believe that God has my back in spite of what anyone or anybody else tries to do or tries to say. But as a board member, this is what we are called to do. This is the business of the board. And as this board closes out this particular area, this board will close out business in this particular area. Thank you.
Board Member Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pastor AJ, I think your point is very well made, and I would say that one remedy to this board issue is an all-elected board. Now, I know we had a charter revision, and I know I was the person who had the community in my ear say, we want more elected positions. We don't want a board with so many appointments, because I think appointments lead to this situation where there's not much control over when appointments are made, when people are rolling off. I think your recommendation of staggered is a good idea, but the problem with any of these appointed situations is we don't have a lot of voice and control over it, which is why the community had recommended more elected positions, and if anything, the community would like all elected positions. And I think the whole idea of political suicide shouldn't be there. We are here to make decisions, and I think we do owe the process to make a decision, and that should not be suicide that you make a decision. That's what we're here to do, and so I'm not going to fault anybody for doing that. Now, I will say that lots of voices in the community, and so tonight I know there was a proposal made to table because voices in community were saying that that's what they would like to see, and so it was at least proposed in deference to those voices. So I'm inspired tonight to hear people in support of the superintendent, because there are lots of voices in community, and it's not just one voice. Now, in my time on the board, communities I represent have been in favor of change, and our chair made the comment last year that elections have consequences, and I know a new mayor was elected, and I absolutely know change is one of the things that he was probably tasked with. And so while I can't control how things roll out or occur, I do realize that there are voices for change, and it's not reflective of performance per se, but I think change certainly is one of the voices that you hear in community. Now, that being said, I am happy, Superintendent, that you heard voices, I think, on both sides tonight. I think voices approving the work that you've done. The one thing I will say as I've interacted with you is that you are a happy warrior. You take the good and the bad, and you keep moving forward. And so I would encourage, regardless to what's decided tonight, that you continue to move forward to do work on behalf of the children and on the district for, the benefit of all in community.
Well, Board Member Hill, do you have something? You have a comment?
Okay. I just wanted to say that in regards to the business agenda that we're on right now, Dr. Torres Rodriguez has made a huge impact on the district during her time, and especially as a member of her Student Advisory Council, I have seen the work that she's put in to make this place a better place for us, and she's backed us up when every other adult in the room has stood over us instead. And she really tries to see us as individuals who have needs that need to be met rather than heard and ignored. And we see the outcome of the efforts that she puts in. It's not just empty promises. We see it and we experience it day in and day out. And she really accounts for every aspect of every student. She never leaves anything out. And when we talk, she listens. And that is something that has been very hard to find in leadership as of lately, especially as a student. So I just hope that we can take that into account when we make our decisions on this.
Thank you, Board Member Hill. Board Member Brody, do you have a comment?
So, this is not the best time for me, because while people were reaching out, I'm facing like the biggest loss in my adult life of a family member that's like any minute now, right? But I've never received so many calls and texts. Oh my God. Some of the people I was like, okay, get my number. But I've never seen so much engagement around this issue. But when we have, when we struggle with some of our test scores, and when I think there should be more of someone checking for me to be like, what's your plan? What are you doing? Nothing. But when it comes to this contract, I've heard everything. And everyone, almost everyone that has reached out didn't say much about students. It was more, in my opinion, adult-based. Prior to sitting up here, and I'm in the middle of my 7th year, I was an advocate. Like I got aged tonight with some of the speakers when they were saying, I've been doing this. It's been a long time. So I sat at board meetings so much that when my cousin was playing baseball, and I was the only family member that got out of work in time that I could make kids, even the staff was like, where you been? Because I literally was at almost every board meeting for almost 10 years, and that is no lie. I've paid attention. I watched superintendents come. I watched them go. To everyone knows, I don't agree with all that happens up here, but I don't sit here to say, you're not doing what I want you to do. I want you to go. I sit up here because I need things better for students. I have a child that went through this entire system, was successful, last year graduated from UConn. So I know what it can do, and I know how far we have come. I've also said to the mayor when he sat with me, for that 3 minutes, I said, for the first time ever, math and reading, we have a district and we have one thing going on. You can go from one school to the next. It was you doing everyday math, you doing Eureka math. You could pick your math in your school. It wasn't fair to teachers. It wasn't fair to families who couldn't afford to live in one place and had to go across town. Now, when we're finally at a place where we are trying to move the needle, and I feel we have, I feel that we are not thinking of students first. And the moment I don't think of students first is the moment I'll give this up. So it is nothing into my colleague here, it might be political suicide, and I don't give a damn. Because at the end of the day, I sit here for students because I was that student. When you think about all the things that could be wrong in a student's life, what they go through, what's going on in their household, being your sibling being murdered in the street, all of that our students come to school with, I came to school with that. And I had teachers who loved me, who convinced me that in Hartford Public Schools, that convinced me, you're gonna go somewhere, you're gonna be somebody, I'm not giving up on you, I love you. And I know that still exists in our schools, and I sit here to make it continue. And when I am not sitting here, like some past people, I won't disappear into the wind. I will still be on that microphone holding this board accountable for the students that I essentially live for. This is what I have been born to do, and I'll do it until I take my last breath. So I am not making a choice for any adult. My choice will be for students, and to not have the rug snatched up from under them on both sides of the table. That's my comment.
Dr. Schmerling.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think the only constant in life is change. But change for change's sake is disruptive and can have unintended consequences. And I think that's what we may be facing tonight in this motion, or the potential of the motion. In my few years on this board, when I first started, I had no clue how complicated the school district is in running the school system. There's so many constituencies. Of course, there's the students, they're first. The teachers, the substitute teachers, the dietitians, the groundskeepers, the security officers, parents, the board. There are all these different constituencies competing for very limited resources. And if we have a superintendent who is popular to all of those constituencies, I would suggest that superintendent's not doing their job. You can't keep everybody happy because there are too many conflicting issues with limited resources. The state and the city have not put in enough money to support children. And that is a challenge for this board and certainly for the superintendent. And I personally believe it's a very difficult position. And as a board, we've made over several years, our evaluations, we've set goals. Those goals were evaluated, and I, for one, am satisfied. I think one of the most important responsibilities of a board is recruiting and retaining leadership. And tonight, we're faced with that decision. And I think, to some of the points made earlier, when you have, and I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not going to make a judgment, but when you have 5 new board members coming onto line within a month, it takes a year to really get oriented, to understand the contracts that we have, the continuation of the contracts, the strategies, all the things that are going on. You can't come in on day one and start working. A year from now, if that, and I think we've got very capable, from what I've read, very capable people coming onto the board, but they have 9 months. If this contract is not renewed, they have 9 months to make that decision for the following year. That's not a full year. And if they make a decision not to renew the contract, they're faced then with the next 15 months of recruitment, hiring, and orienting a new superintendent. That 2 years is going to be disruptive to the students. We need continuity. We need a structure to keep the progress that we have going. There are certainly still challenges, but to start all over with 5 new board members and the potential of having to recruit a new superintendent, I think is not fair to the kids, to the students, and to the school district. So I, for one, am going to support the motion to renew the contract into 26. Thank you.
Board Member Ledger.
Okay, so what I wanted to say about, what I would like to say, and I'm going to say about Dr. Torres Rodriguez, is that her evaluation, I had no problems with her. I have no problems with her performance. And I'm going to talk about the positives. Attendance has improved tremendously. I think about Dr. Torres Rodriguez being here through this pandemic. That was new different for everyone. But she persevered, and we got through it. We're still getting through it. And with regards to the pandemic and the after effects of it, there's this emotional intelligence piece. There's this social emotional learning piece that Dr. Torres Rodriguez has demonstrated that she is sensitive, she is compassionate, she does care for students, staff, with regards to taking time and dealing with the emotional intelligence piece. I went with Dr. Torres Rodriguez to the ribbon cutting at Hartford High, and I believe it's the Little Owls program, where it's like a little daycare or childcare center area designated for students who have little ones, and so that they can come to school, so they can continue their education, and they can even nurse their babies. They can, and then once their children get a little bit older, they start, I believe, at 6 weeks, and once they get a little bit older, old enough to start school, they can go to a Hartford Public School for pre-K and continue their education to kind of break that cycle of not going to school or dropping out. So I was there with her for that. And there's empathy there. And I want to say that with regards to, and as an educator myself, having been an educator for several years, there is a problem with teacher recruitment, minority teacher recruitment, and retention in every district. It's everywhere. And so that's something that Dr. Torres Rodriguez has been working on as well. Now, my reason for making the motion to table this was to give the new board members who are coming on an opportunity to get to know Dr. Torres Rodriguez for themselves, because she is doing the work. She is, she's here, she's present, and I understand that it's less than a year. However, people need to, this is how I feel. I feel that they need to have the opportunity to make that decision. I wouldn't like to see that taken away from them. So for us to take this vote tonight is taking that opportunity away from individuals who are coming on and ready to do the work. And that's what I wanted to say. The other thing I wanted to say with regards to elected and appointed individuals, so I'm elected, and so I'll still be here. However, when individuals are appointed, it doesn't make them less than. They're appointed by a mayor that was elected by Hartford residents. So this is someone who the majority of the people who voted, the people who voted for this individual, you put your trust in that person, so you believe that they have good judgment, and this is the individual who is going to appoint people. I also believe that if we did not have appointed members of the board, we would not have as diverse, and I say diverse, I'd say diversity with regards to individuals who come from I'll say it like this, individuals who probably would not run on their own. So you get the Pastor AJs, perhaps maybe Pastor AJ may have run at some point, Dr. Schmerling, Bill Reger, Kim Oliver, people like that. But people who are in Hartford, who are doing work in different areas. But I don't want to say for a moment that a person who is appointed is less than, or it's a problem. It is, the problem arises when you have individuals who are, they're kind of like taken off, and then you have a new set of individuals. So that makes it hard. But I want to give the respect where respect is due. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. I appreciate all my colleagues' comments. I do have a couple of things that I do want to point out. So first, in terms of the process, as my colleague, Board Member Johnson said, this is not out of bounds by no means. This is very much a process that was due to the superintendent that was delayed for a number of reasons, and this would have taken place, should have taken place actually, back in December, and ideally, right, the new mayor would have appointed his appointees and, right, would have started in January. So I just want to clarify that for the record, that this is not out of sequence. If anything, we're trying to get back into compliance with the process. So I just want to make that very clear to the public. Two, anyone that has worked with me know that I take a very pragmatic approach, and I play out different scenarios, right? Different triggers. If this happens, what you do this, and so forth. And when I played out the different scenarios here, regardless of the action today, there's a couple of things that's going to happen to Hartford Public Schools that most people do not want to hear. But I'm going to tell you guys the truth. You guys are going to continue to face a budget challenge. It's not going away. It might get worse. There's going to be school consolidation. Whether you like it or not, it's coming. Staff, teachers are stressed to the max. Crime in the city, it's going to continue. It's about to get hot. It's going to be bad. As far as I can see, there is no economic development plan for the city to increase our revenue sources, to increase our tax base. That's going to be a challenge for our public schools. More importantly, with the 5 new board members that come on board, to my colleagues, Board Member Johnson as well as Board Member Schmerling, the difference here that we're talking about is 9 months versus 16 months. Well, I forget the number, but come March 30th, right, the superintendent will make another extension request of that board. And they'll have to make a determination whether or not they want to renew her or not. In reality, how this plays out is they're going to have to make that decision within 3 months, which means within 3 months that you have to find a new superintendent if this board vote does not go the way that we want, that some of us want tonight. I'm not convinced, based on the conversations I've had with a number of people, that folks have thought that through. I will be completely honest. I think a lot of the rhetoric I've heard is very much politics, and that's why I'm an independent. And anyone knows this about me, I'll tell you straight to your face, because at the end of the day, I do not owe anyone nothing. More importantly, everyone knows this, I choose for my kids to be in Hartford Public Schools. I could very much choose for my kids not to be in Hartford Public Schools. And I won't lose sleep over it, not one bit. It's not to be arrogant or anything like that, but it's to state the fact that when I make these decisions, I'm making the decisions where I think is best for the school district. And the thing that was just most concerning was just the rhetoric around we shouldn't do this, the process, and so forth. If anyone has worked with me, I'm all about the process. It's almost to a fault. So I just want to make it clear that this is very much inbound. It's also very clear that the new board, they're going to have a pretty tough road ahead of them, regardless of the decision tonight. And whoever are the influencers within the city, it's also going to be a very long road in trying to not only get the school district back, or actually continue to progress the school system, but also get the city back on track where people actually want to come into the city. Because I tell you one thing, when you have corporations, major corporations come in and the executives, they're not moving to Hartford, just FYI, right? They might work in Hartford, but they're not moving to Hartford to live, by and large. And there's a reason why, and no one's talking about that. But I would tell you the school systems, an effective school system is very much part of that conversation. So again, I think everything that's been said today is spot on, and everyone has their different views and so forth, and we'll vote accordingly. But I do want to make one other comment in the sense of when the 5 new board members that come on, it will be 8, and there will be 1 open position. And oddly enough, that 1 open position is an elected position. And I say that to say, even with 8, that's not an effective board because you can have a 4-4 tie. Nothing moves. So as community members, if I was you, again, I'm leaving, you guys should be going to whoever it is to say, hey, we need that number 9 because you don't want ties. Doesn't work. Won't work. You'll be stuck over and over again. And this is not new. Like, Hartford's been down this route for 30 years. And I think I shared this with some of you. When Chef came out, academic achievement in Hartford in 1989 was roughly around 35%. Let's just call it 35%. Last year, I looked at the numbers. I said, Superintendent, I want to see the numbers. I want to see how these things look like. And for Hartford residents, guess what the academic achievement is? Same, 35%. Nothing's moved, folks. Nothing's moved. Who's to blame for that? It's not the kids. It's the phone calls that I got today. Over and over again. So I'll leave that. I just wanted to share that with the public. The motion on the floor is that the Hartford Board of Education approves the Superintendent Leslie Torres Rodriguez employment contract for additional 1-year term through June 30th of 2026. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays?
Nay.
Nay.
Nay. Abstentions? It's a 3-3 vote. The motion does not move. We now move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda, items on the consent agenda are 5.1, approval of E-rate. 5.2, contract continuation approval, athletic trainers, UConn Trinity. 5.3, approval, healthy food certification. 5.4, approval of minutes. Any comments or questions on the consent agenda?
No.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any nays? The ayes have it. Motion moves. The May 21st Board of Education regular meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.